Well, hey, welcome everybody. We're here at the Equus Film Festival. We are in Camden, South Carolina. 45 award-winning equine-related films running here. Let's take a look at what's going on here in Camden. Okay, we are here in Camden, South Carolina. Now, we're here for the Equus Film Festival tour stop. But as we come into Camden, one of the things that Camden is noted for in the horse industry is steeplechase, and they have the Carolina Cup here. This is the Steeplechase Museum, the National Museum for Steeplechase, held. The Steeplechase Museum is here in Camden, South Carolina.
Michelle will smile for the camera anytime.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look.
Here, there's another set. Oh, they broke out?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're doing a little breezing here.
One more excuse.
See what just happened?
Yeah. Welcome. Speaking of horses, and well, we're having a great weekend here.
Sure are.
We are in Camden, South Carolina. If you're not familiar, it's about 25 miles to the east of Columbia, and you're only maybe 80, 90 miles off the coast of that. So we could go back to Columbia or head on to Myrtle Beach. But Camden is a very historic town, and as I'm learning, part of their history is not just Civil War, but Camden was heavily involved in the Revolutionary War, and that's some data that I wasn't really aware of. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous place. If you think of a picturesque, typical South Carolina town, this is it.
This is it.
And we're here for the Camden tour stop for the Equus Film Festival, and we have about 45 films that have won awards in New York at the Equus Film Festival in Manhattan. With me is Doug Maddox. So welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, and your daughter's hiding over here
That's
off
right.
camera.
She's with me, Elizabeth. Yeah.
And she's in the movie, right?
She's in the movie. She actually is working behind the camera too. Set design, props. Really big help. Production assistant.
So now let me have your movie. Ben.
Sure, yeah,
We're
go for it.
gonna kind of do this, but it's called The Christmas Ranch.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about what inspired the movie first,
Sure.
and then about making it.
Well, I will go into a little bit of history, but I'll save that for a little later.
Okay.
The quick answer is I've been able to make some films, some documentaries, and some television. Been very fortunate to do that in my career. And my family wanted me to make a family film, so I went for a search and found this incredible script written by Simon Parker over in the UK. And he had this wonderful horse girl movie that dealt with a girl that had to go away and live with her grandmother and find some inspiration in her life to kind of get out of some trouble she was in. Very similar thing happened to me in my life, so when I read the script I was like taken aback by it, and I said, this is the story that I'm going to do. And the kids got involved, my wife got involved, and we produced it and got it in distribution in 12 months.
Wow, that's moving along pretty quick. Of course, you know, people have to understand you had a history and a background in doing film
Right.
and video
Right.
work and all that prior to this movie. So you've done a lot of work for a lot of other people in producing videos and putting it together. So part of that learning curve was already behind you. But there's still a big learning curve ahead of
Yeah.
you when you go to a full-length feature film.
It's a big deal. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not small. Yeah, we went and I visited lots of different actors across the country, had auditions in the Mid-Atlantic area, all the way down to Atlanta. And Francine's from the hit show Nashville, and Tim Marlowe's been in Men in Black and Abduction with Taylor Lautner, and so has Alan Williamson. And this young lady, Taylor, amazing up-and-coming actress, Taylor Lyons. She's awesome. So really happy to have this incredible cast.
Now, when you take a story about, well, anytime you take a story with kids and horses, okay, you will eventually get a winner out of this. It just will be a winning combination. Tell us a little bit about your history with horses in your life.
Yeah, it's great. Well, I've loved horses since I was young. You know, as soon as you're 3 years old and the parents put you on the little ponies, you know, it's love at first sight and first ride, so it's like, yay. And I've been really fortunate when I lived in Pennsylvania, lived with a Mennonite family and really incredible farm, and they had quarter horses and Western saddle, and we had a blast riding those horses, and got to learn at a close by ranch in our Maryland home and just you go there on the retreats and get to ride horses that way, and other friends have had it. So we've never owned horses, but we've had friends who have horses, and we've enjoyed growing up around horse country.
Well, and when you said with a Mennonite family,
Yes.
the next thing you've done is when you live with a Mennonite family or Amish or any in those various segments, they're based around horses.
Sure are.
Big time based around horses.
That's right.
And they're very good horse people. Now, they don't go for the fancy saddles and the fancy tack. Everything is plain and to the point.
That's right.
But when it comes to the horse is their
Bread and
world.
butter.
That's their bread and butter. So they know how to train them, work them, and take care of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you learned from, probably one of the best when you did that.
I sure did. Yeah.
And the thing to me about horses is, especially with horses and kids, they are so identical in the fact that, you raise a horse, you can raise a kid, you can train a horse, and vice versa, because all they need is consistency, honesty, and love. And
Speaking of horses, this is Ferris, named after Ferris Bueller. Couldn't have been a better pony. We needed a pony, and our amazing set designer and actress, Stephanie Smith, brought Ferris up from Virginia to Maryland to stay for a good month at the Greenmount Farms, and
wow.
we couldn't have had a better horse. You can see this horse act in this movie. I mean, this this horse is as much of a player as these actors.
Now, what breed is Ferris?
It's a Welsh.
It's a Welsh pony.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were really honored to have him. I fell in love with this horse. It's a pony, of course, but I fell in love with him, and now his picture is all over the place, and of course all over this DVD.
But the larger, there are 2 or 3 sections in Welsh, and the larger ones are almost horse-sized.
Yeah, this is one hand under a horse.
Right. This is really a neat. Matter of fact, I saw some of this, when we were in Manhattan. We were together there.
Great.
But this is really a neat movie, and you are out of Baltimore.
I'm out of Baltimore, Maryland. We started DBM Films when we started our marketing agency, DBM Communications, 27 years ago. 15 years ago, we really put out the banner of DBM Films and started making feature films. So dbmfilmstore.com is where you can find this movie, plus The Bill Collector, City of David. We're working on our next feature called Mystic Dreams and Dusty Road. So we're really working on family, inspirational, dramatic, comedy type films that deal with family subjects like horses, and great storyline. You'll enjoy it. So get it for the weekend, get it for a night.
You're way ahead of me because you're getting your plugs in there, and I wanted you to.
I'm glad.
That's fine. What I love about the whole concept is we don't do enough for the families today. We just don't do enough for families. And when you grow up basically rural, horses, whatever, there's a lot more family involvement. And when you come out of there, you're a better adult. And I really believe that.
If we can make more of these kinds of films, Wayne, it's going to be better for the culture, I believe. And so that's why we're putting a lot of energy, a lot of financial investment into these kinds of projects. And so the more that you all get involved with supporting the arts and these kinds of films, the better we are at making more of these. So.
Right. Well, Doug, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks.
Again, it is called Christmas Ranch, the one we're talking about here.
Right.
But you've got several others, and you've got more in production. Your website one more time?
Okay, dbmfilmstore.com. D as in dog, B as in boy, M as in man, film store, all one word, .com. And you can see our films all on many platforms, VOD, but get ready for Mystic Dreams and Dusty Roads. That's going to be another exciting 1930s Dust Bowl with the rodeo horses.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
And you'll probably be able to see that at one of the Equus Film Festivals coming up. So thanks for joining us, Doug.
Appreciate the time.
Oh, yes. Thanks. Speaking of horses, we're here at the Equus Film Festival, Camden, South Carolina. Tour stop.
Upstairs and downstairs. Notice the outside columns here. That's also interesting, and a weather factor. Those are freestanding out from under the drip line of the house, so they last longer. If you have any questions more about architecture, just ask me. And I'll
Okay.
walk up.
I love love it.
But we're going to kind of amble through here and look in each room and then go through back.
Desperately to change.
Camden, South Carolina, has a wonderful distinction of being one of the oldest inland cities in South Carolina. A lot of history. This is a tour through an 1830 typical South Carolina plantation.
They are our family, and we only want the best for them. No standing water means clean, good tasting, algae-free, mosquito-free, and virus-free water. No risk of electric shock, no risk of fire from faulty wiring. Cool water in the summer, warm water in the winter. Water delivered fresh from the water supply at 50 degrees year-round. Drinking post water.
I'm Diana DeRosa from the Equus Film Festival. We have a film festival every year in New York, and then we do tour stops around the nation and around the world. And right now we are in Camden, South Carolina, and we're doing a director's panel on thoroughbred racing in South Carolina. And so I'm going to let each of my participants introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about either their organization or their films. So starting with you, Donna.
My name is Donna Freyer. I run Custom Care Equine here in Camden, South Carolina, and also manage Fast Women LLC. And we have a movie in the festival called Mini Mambo. So I wear a few hats today. My main business is Custom Care Equine, where we breed and train thoroughbred horses to go around the country and race.
Donna, a little bit about the movie.
Well, I shouldn't say this with all these directors around, but we didn't really set out to make a movie. We had a person handling all our media, and she said somewhere along the line, why don't we just put this together and document your journey so you all have it, 10 years from now to look at. So we did, and it turned out great, and Julie Ann took it to New York, and it's a great story. So here we are.
And moving on down the line.
I'm Judy Farrell. I'm board chair of the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation of South Carolina. We care for off-track thoroughbreds once their racing careers are done. And Donna also has an additional hat. She is a member of our board as well.
My name is Arch Kingsley. I am a lifelong horseman, a professional horseman for all of my adult life. First as a steeplechase jockey, then as a blacksmith, now as a trainer. Although I still wear all of those same hats to some degree, depending on what time of day or when during the week you find me. My movie is the real-life story of Sunshine Numbers, which was a horse that I trained about 5 years ago, and the owners, George and Sue Sensor, commissioned a movie to be made about him, and it has many different layers to it, the film. It is about the success of one racehorse in steeplechasing and how he got there, and beyond that, some of the lives that he touched, some of the obstacles that he overcame to be successful. And to me, it's a very personal story because it's about again, from my perspective, about how a horse can change your life and bring out some of your more human qualities and strengthen, and as well as suggest maybe you might need to work on some different areas. But is there, excuse me, is there as a spiritual guide? That was my part of the story, but. Again, you've got some different layers to the story from the owner's perspective, from certainly the different jockeys that rode him, from my perspective, and I think that the common thread is how a horse can touch so many people in many different ways.
I'm Catherine French. I'm a professional photographer by trade. Basically, all I do is steeplechase photography and a few kids here and there. And I'm also the executive director of the National Steeplechase Museum here in Camden, which houses the only collection in the country of the steeplechase memorabilia in history.
I'm Marcia Hewitt. I'm the equine marketing specialist with the South Carolina Department of Agriculture. And people ask me, oh, do you sell horses? No, I sell the horse industry. The Thoroughbred Association is one of many, many groups that I work with. And I must say, probably the most successful and the most underappreciated industry in the state. I am working to sort of try to change that, to make people more aware of the thoroughbred industry and bridge that gap between horse people and non-horse people, because the non-horse people and the politicians do not have a clue what goes on in the world of thoroughbred racing.
The rural American lifestyle. It's how we work, and it's how we play. It's how we learn and how we enjoy the finer things in life. How we take care of our animals and tend to the land. It's a way of life. Has been for hundreds of years. Now there's a whole new way for rural America to
Williams,
work.
speaking of horses, we're Camden, South Carolina, beautiful Camden, Equus Film Festival, the Camden, South Carolina tour stop. We're 45 of the award-winning films that won their awards and winning awards at
New York City.
New York City, Manhattan, are being run here, and there'll be some other tour stops around the country throughout the rest of the year. So just kind of keep checking Equus Film Festival. But my guest right now is Janice Fisher. Now, it's one of those things that whether it's South Carolina, Manhattan, wherever, Janice and I probably live 40 miles apart.
Right.
But we never see each other till we fly somewhere
Exactly.
like this. But anyway, welcome, and tell us now, for those of you that don't know, Janice does a calendar every year. Carousel horse calendar, but it's not carousel horses, it's real horses with all the costuming and dressed up to look like carousel horses. So it's really kind of neat. So welcome, and tell us about this year's calendar.
Thank you. Well, I've been doing the Carousel Horse series since 2010, I believe. And it all started with an idea to dress up real horses as carousel horses. And it kind of evolved where one year I built sets. Sometimes I just kind of had all black background, sometimes with a pole, sometimes without. But the whole idea is to get the horses in movement and to mimic the movement and styles of the old antique wooden horses.
Mm-hmm.
So this year I took it a little bit a step further. I still dressed them up, and I used real flowers instead of fake flowers. And then, because I'm a professional photographer and I like to do the printing myself, I've been printing on alternative surfaces. I've gone back in time and I shoot the image digitally, and now I transfer and print on wood and other substrates. Like
this
plastic.
is on wood, right?
That's on wood, and it's all hand done, and each piece is unique because you can see some mistakes, if you will, or some imperfections, let's call it that. But that's part of the beauty of the art and the feel.
So now you actually, you print on here, or you actually do the artwork on here?
It's actually a transfer.
It's
from
a transfer
negative.
print.
So I make I shoot it digitally, I make a negative,
Okay.
and then I put a chemical down, non-toxic. This lady just developed this chemical, and then I let it develop for 3 minutes.
Wow.
And then I just kind of peel it off. So I like it because it's taking me back in time, like the old darkroom days, printing days.
Almost like the old tintype.
That's exactly what it's like. It's more like
and
the
the
tintypes.
tintypes, for
Yes.
those of you that aren't as old as me,
Or me.
or any of us, the
Right.
tintypes go back into the 1850s and 60s when photography first got started.
Yes.
And they were printing on a tin or a metal rather than paper.
Right, and I do have some that I have done on metal. I didn't bring them with me, but that'll be a great segue into the calendar this year. So in the past, I have just done digital prints. But what I did this year is I took pictures of the images that I've done on different substrates. So this one is actually, even though it's the same image, you can see the difference.
Mm-hmm.
This one is actually a 3 foot by 3 foot print on wood.
Okay.
I can show you November, for example, is printed on
I guess I'll ask you,
Elizabeth.
this is the horse that's November now. Is that Miss November or Mr. November?
This is Mr.
This is Mr. November. Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Right, so he's a Lusitano stallion, actually an Andalusian stallion.
Okay.
And so this one is done on metal, aluminum.
All right.
So it's still the same idea with the horses looking like carousel horses, but it's now pictures of the artwork.
Okay.
So it kind of gives it, I think, just a nice feel. You know, it's just.
It does. It does.
And this one is on plexiglass.
It's just amazing what you can do with that stuff now, isn't it?
Right,
Just amazing what you can do with it.
Right, but it's still the same idea to get the horse in movement.
Right.
And like you can see this one, you have
You
the
see the
carousel
pole. Let me hold this up to the camera.
Sure.
You can see the pole coming down and all the decorations. So we're taking a real horse and we're making him look like a carousel horse. It's a neat calendar. You've done.
Thanks.
You've done a nice job with that for several years now.
Right,
You've been doing it.
right. I think it gets better and better.
And you, of course, you have horses.
Yes.
And that led you into doing more of this was with the horses, which is great.
Well, and part of the idea was, you know, I think, again, it depends on what area you're from, but I still think children nowadays like to ride the carousel horses.
Sure they do.
It's not
Some
as
adults
big,
do.
Exactly, exactly. And I know as a child, you know, you always everybody picked their favorite carousel horse, and all the personalities were different. Some people wanted the cowboy look. Some
Right.
people wanted the one with all the roses. Somebody wanted the one in armor. So I think, you know, as children, we always have that, and it always stays with us.
And you know, you take that calendar and you do one every year. First of all, let's give everybody your website. How do they get a calendar?
Okay, if you go to carouselhorses.us.
Carouselhorses.us. You can find all the information on the calendar, how to buy one, how to get one, and all that.
Yes.
All right. And then second of all, because we're here at the Equus Film Festival, you're a large supporter of this festival. Because I know you've got the friendship and the connection with Lisa and the people who do this, and you did some of the artwork for the horse that's being used right here.
Right.
That's actually Jill Montgomery's horse.
It's Jill McCrae's.
Or Jill McCrae.
From
I'm sorry.
McCrae Farm. And I use her horses quite often for my models. So yeah, we did this photo for the billboards and for the promotional work for Equus Film Festival this year.
Right, right. And that horse actually is in front of a movie reel. That's not staged, right?
Exactly. It's a movie reel. It's a backdrop that my one friend handmade for us. And a lot of times, as you can tell by the carousel horses and everything, I like to conceptualize my images. So this was all planned. And he's a Lusitano gelding, former stallion, but he's so theatrical. That's why he makes such a good model. Like he can do the Spanish walk.
Yeah.
We have some of him that we didn't even use that is kind of rearing a little bit and looks like he's right on top of the reel. But we didn't even show this image just because it's so fun.
Well, but doing that tied in with the calendar and your support of the Equus Film Festival, it's great.
Yes, I enjoy it and love it. It's so much fun here working with him.
I appreciate you taking a few moments to talk to us here on Speaking of Horses, because it's a wonderful addition to all of what's going on in this package around the film festival.
Right, I think so. The film festival really supports artists, authors, you know, painters, all different types, photographers.
So, you know, when it's supporting the art, it's right to you.
Exactly.
Okay, then you got the authors who are, many of them have great books, and they're also trying to find somebody to produce that book into a film.
Right.
And then the filmmakers are here as well. So,
yes.
And it's all surrounding the horse, so
yep.
You got to do it. Janice, thank you.
And thank you, Wayne. It's always a pleasure to see you. Okay?
All right.
Looking forward to the next stop.
Next stop somewhere where we can see each other because we just live too darn close.
I know. Maybe we'll get together up north.
And thank you for being with us right here in Camden, South Carolina on Speaking of Horses. We're here at the local distillery, Craft Distillery in Camden and Lugoff, South Carolina. And they have been distributing some samples and some wonderful craft distilled spirits while at the Equus Film Festival. Well, right now here in Camden, we want to join a couple of our authors who are doing a panel on their books and how they hope to get them into movies.
Terrific. The last thing I really want to cover, and Kay, you've already spoken a bit about it, but in my world, marketing is everything. I mean, the different ideas that you can do for marketing, whether you're trying to approach the media whether we're trying to give exposure for the Equus Film Festival or whether you have a book out there that you want people to know about. So just a little bit more about how you know, other than us, other than the Equus Film Festival, what you did to get people to know about your book.
Again, I go back to the 90s when I started. And one thing I did want to mention about your other subject is that if you Google publishing, you will get a ton now of self-publishing companies that will do it for you. I think you have to be very careful because no matter what you write, they'll say, oh my God, that's fabulous. And it'll only cost you $3,000 to do 50 copies. And they'll help you with everything. So which is fine. If you want that, it's out there. But also there are so many local now printers. I found out there was a printer in my town, but I was always using a printer in the north who was fabulous and worked with me. So if you are interested, you Google that, but be very careful because they'll be hounding you saying, we can help you do your book. And as I say, it can be very poorly written and they'll still be glad to publish it for you. And I'm fascinated by some of the prizes. Now your question was,
You know,
how to market.
How do you market? How do you, okay, now you've written the book and you want people to know about it. It's no longer the world where you give it to a publishing company and they're going to promote it for you, right?
I wish that we could do that because they actually put it in an engine. They actually put it in a marketing system. And we're little guys. So I think a lot of it is, of course, now Facebook and the internet. And probably the more different sites you have on Facebook, I don't even know how to work my backyard racehorse site, but I have found.
Julianne, did you just change
the Did you just disconnect me?
There you are.
Okay.
Move your hand up on the microphone.
My hand up there.
Because you're hiding the antenna.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You have to hold it closer to you. Now you have to hold
Are
it
we
closer.
okay now?
Yeah, you have to hold it closer to you now.
Is that better?
Thank you, Wade.
Thank you, Wade. I suppose today the internet is the best way. And of course, when you came to American Horse Publishers, you know, that meeting, that's when I learned about this program. I didn't know it existed, and yet you've existed for 5 years. So probably going to different trade associations or they have probably publishing, trade shows, and look into that kind of thing. A great thing is if you can get an agent, but again, an agent, there are legitimate agents, literary agents, and there are illegitimate literary agents. And again, they go into charging you a lot of money, and even Amazon has some kind of gimmick going where you can be the best book selling on Amazon, and it's really, you've only sold 3 books, but they present it in such a way.